All right, guys, welcome back to the Q Method podcast. I am excited to jump into things today. Again, all things fitness, health, and sales, right? And just becoming the best version of yourself. I have a special guest with me today, a longtime friend, and really, he's an owner of his own company at this point, Surge Pest Control, lives in Austin, Texas. He was actually raised in Atlanta, Georgia, BYU, Idaho graduate. He's married. He's got a son and then another boy on the way. And he's spent 6 years in sales, and so I'm excited to kind of speak to him about that, and passionate about all things sports and health and fitness. So here he is, my longtime friend, Brandon Johnson. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We gotta kind of go back, dude, and we just gotta hear your story, man. Fill me in, man. Like what's it been like over the last, I don't know, however long you want to go back, man, and kind of tell me what got you to here.
Yeah. Started obviously grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. We have some great memories as friends, me and you. Some of my
Yeah.
best memories is when we used to hang out. So um, you and I go way back. Um, went to played obviously sports growing up. Big sports fan.
Yeah.
Went
Who's your
w-
team, man? Who's your team? What
Being from
sport?
Atlanta, we've got to be Atlanta fans.
There you go.
So,
Let's go.
the
Nice.
Falcons, the Hawks, the Braves. We gotta rep the Georgia
Bulldogs.
sports. Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
Bulldogs a little bit.
absolutely.
Yeah, big. I've always been like big into sports. I've always appreciated health and fitness, and I didn't really know I was going to get into sales until after I got home from my church mission and I was in college. I had no idea really what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I didn't want to do a normal 9 to 5. I didn't feel like it was going to be a good fit for me. And then I discovered door to door sales. And so from there, I sold for a large nationwide pest control company for 6 years. It changed my life. It was incredible. Um, Learned a lot of lessons from that experience. Met my wife in college, and fast forward to today, anyways, I worked for that company for a while, and then decided to start my own pest control company 2 years ago, and it's been incredible. So that's kind of where we've been right now. Um, and from a fitness and health perspective, I mean, I'm sure we'll go into this, but things shifted probably 2021, where I knew I wanted to get dialed in, um, and really become like the best version of myself.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it. Well, let's kind of go back. So I felt the same way when I was in college, playing football, but like still had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, essentially, and really did the same path. I got into door to door, right after, and yeah, it changed the whole game for me. But talk about that. Like, how did you know that's what you wanted to do, or did you not know? Like, what got you into getting into the door to door space, and what kept you there? I guess.
I met with a manager that was trying to recruit me, and he started naming off things that he's like, "Hey, if you want to be good at this job, there's like four things that we look for in guys." And he named them off. He's like, guys that are competitive, guys that can work hard, are coachable, and have a positive attitude. And when he said those things, I'll never forget it. And I use it in recruiting meetings still to this day. I say, when he said those four attributes, it just resonated so hard with me. It resonated so much. And so I'm like, dude, I think I can do really, really well at this job. Because those traits, it feels like that's me. That's me in a nutshell. And so that's when I decided, okay, I was going to take this leap of faith. I was going to go all the way to New York, drive from Idaho to New York my first summer, and go knock doors and sell pest control, which is crazy to think. I never thought at almost 29 years old I'd be still in pest control. Um, I remember my first summer; it was just incredible. Like I said, those attributes, it resonated with me, and the rest is history. I've done door to door ever since, and so those four things is what changed everything when he said that to me.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. Went to New York. That's, that's a big change, right? That's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I didn't know you did your first summer in New York. That's cool. Okay. So what was it that I guess for you, it sounds like you were going through, you've been, leveling up, you've been doing all these awesome things in the pest control industry. And then what got you to shift, start your own thing and like level up that way? Like what made you want to pivot? I mean, I feel like there's always points, at least in my life, where it's like, I feel like I got to pivot or I feel like I got to do something. But what was that moment for you and why did you decide to kind of start your own thing?
uh, Definitely have made some pivots, and I think that's okay that we do that. I what ended up happening was my entire region that I was in pest control, we shifted. The company I was working for, they opened up a solar side of the business, and so my entire region got shifted to head the solar side of the company, and so it was kind of wild, but we ended up still moving to Austin, Texas, and we essentially started that the solar side of the company, and it was a very good learning experience. I'll keep it at that. It was very challenging, tons of challenges, going from a whole different industry that I was not used to. I'd never been in solar before. I was excited for the new challenge, but it was extremely difficult. Extremely difficult, and again, a ton of learning lessons in that experience. And then I realized, like, okay, this is not for me. I need to pivot back. So I made multiple pivots, right? I pivoted to solar and then went back to my bread and butter, ended up meeting, and I believe like everything happens for a reason. So I ended up meeting my business partners here in Austin. I ended up meeting them. We had an incredible conversation, and we just were like, you know what? Why don't we just start our own pest control company? We've all been in the industry. Why don't we just start our own company? And that was a huge blessing because I needed to make a pivot. And that just was like the perfect opportunity to make that shift. And we did. And now I'm here. So I didn't think I didn't think that would happen. I thought everything would be roses and butterflies with solar, and it wasn't that way. But again, I believe everything happens for a reason. So that was the turning point for me, was the
Yeah.
hardships in that industry.
Wow. Okay. So that's kind of what got you to pivot and start your own thing. I love that, man. Yeah. Like you said, everything happens for a reason and you don't really know while you're going through it. Sometimes the bad things that are happening, you're like, what the heck?
For sure.
What's going on? Why am I going through this? That's really cool. That's an awesome story. Yeah. Solar can be a solar coaster, man. That's what I always tell people that want to get into it because I've been in it for a while and it's definitely a wild time. Can be for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say, man, like along this journey from, where you are now, getting married, having kids, all the different things, like what are some of the biggest roadblocks? I guess that could have been one of them that you just talked about, but kind of go into that a little bit deeper, roadblocks that you've had to maneuver through and through this journey and I guess how you overcame it and how you got through it to the other side.
Yeah, I think one thing that has I'm a big advocate on, and I'm sure you are as well, Quinn, but of having a coach
Mhm.
always, and leveling up and always learning. Like I've always had a coach the past few years, and one thing my coach right now has talked about is there's never a finish line. At least the past couple years, or the past 6 7 8 years of me being in sales, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna work really hard in my 20s and 30s, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna like magically hit this finish line, and okay, I made it, and I won't have any stress anymore. I won't have any anxiety. I won't have any depression. Everything's going to be happy because I'm going to have an amazing amount of money. My family's going to be perfect. I'm going to live happily ever after. But that's just not the
Yep.
case, right? And
Yeah.
that realization has occurred to me with this coach. It's like there's no finish line. We're going to be climbing the mountain forever. So I've just I've realized like the learning to live with the hardships and the stresses and the difficulties. It's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? Um, and so that's a big realization that I've had really the past like 6 months is I've always thought, okay, cool. These hardships I'm going through right now with starting a new company, like I made a massive sacrifice in income the past 2 years. Um, I used to think to myself like, cool, in 3, 4 years, everything's going to be perfect because I'm going to be making X amount of money and life is going to be great. When the reality is like those hardships, there's going to be new hardships. There's going to be new difficulties that come up, and you need to learn to like be okay with those hardships and ride the waves that come in life because it's never going to end. We're always climbing the mountain. And so that was like a huge mindset shift for me, really the past 4 to 6 months with this coach. And so
Yeah, that's awesome.
learning to be okay with the hardships that come because they're not going to stop coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's so good. I totally agree. You know, when you finally realize when you realize that the dream that you've been sold of like just grinding and being done at the end of the year, I agree, man. It's like that's not how it's gonna work. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't grind or work hard for a certain season, but yeah, there's gonna be the new thing. There's gonna be the next mountain you gotta climb and just kind of having that mindset and understanding that that's how it works in sales and life and fitness. You don't just get the body of your dreams and then just, you know,
Yeah,
hang out and chill.
right.
It's like now you got to sustain that, right?
For sure.
Sustain that momentum and continue on that's huge, man. Okay. A couple of things that you said there that I want to talk about. So, um, you said that, you know, through like different parts, you've learned different things and having a coach has always kind of helped you and guided you. Like I've always been a huge advocate of having a coach and having a mentor or just like having somebody that's maybe a little bit ahead of you that you want to be like a little bit and just going after that and getting that mentorship. I've seen that huge ways with fitness for myself and also sales, right? I've had so many different and I've had bad ones too. I'll be frank here. I've spent thousands of dollars on these mentors and it's like been the worst decision ever. But I learned, hey, that's not who I want to follow. And, lost the money, but it is what it is. Talk to me about kind of some of those things that have been super huge with coaching and why, why you still need a coach even when you're doing pretty good or even when you're doing all right, right? Because I don't know, people think that, you just need it at the beginning, but I feel like you always kind of do need it, like you said.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we look back to the goats, right? Look back to MJ, LeBron, Tom Brady. They, I mean, do they stop at a certain point of having a coach? Absolutely not. Like the greatest of all times always had a coach. So I feel like humility is a big piece in this and realizing like there's still so much to learn. And that goes with fitness and with sales. Like I've been in, this is my 8th year being in sales, so I feel like I've mastered it a little bit, but there's still so much for me to learn. So having the humility to be like, hey, there's still a lot of things, especially in sales. The way to sell people has shifted from 10, 15 years ago. Like how to interact, how to overcome their objections, like that that has changed a little bit. People have changed. So if you're not evolving and changing, then the way you sold 10 years ago maybe not working anymore for the time that we're in right now. So I've realized that um, having the humility to accept like, hey, I'm not perfect. I still have a ton of things to learn, but especially with fitness, like you said, like I remember coming to you in it was this realization. It was New Year's Eve, and I took this picture in Mexico with my wife, and I'm like, that's when I sent you a text, like, Quinn, brother, we've got to make a change. And like you said, you're not going to just get the body that you want, and then all of a sudden, what, never work out again because you
Yeah.
have the body you want. Like, if you're not crafting your physique every single day, it's going to change. Like that's just how it works. If you're not
Yeah.
getting better, you're stepping backwards. You're getting worse, right? So, huge believer in that. And with coaches, like they give you different perspectives that you never thought about before. So I remember, working with you with on my fitness. I had no idea how to count my macros. I didn't understand how important protein focused food was and tracking that. And so you don't know what you don't know, right? And
Yeah.
so coaches help you realize, like, oh, I have so much to learn.
Totally, man. I love that. No, it's huge. It's a such a game changer, such a quick way to learn what you need to learn or get to where you need to go. Um, what do people in your, like, let's say I have a lot of people that follow me, right, that are younger, that are trying to get into sales, that may be getting into door to door, or maybe getting into to certain things, and they're always asking me like, what should I sell or what should I do? Or I guess for you, man, like first off, like what do people get wrong about being elite in your industry? And what I mean by industry is like in sales, in that door to door space. Like, what do people get wrong about how to be? Because I would say, hey, dude, you've been in it for a long time. You've climbed the ladder. You're very successful in what you do, right? And so, what do people get wrong about what it actually takes to get there?
I think people don't realize, I believe that work ethic is undervalued and underappreciated. I feel like it's overstated, but undervalued and underappreciated. One of my favorite quotes is like, "No one cares. Work harder." Um, and I think people just don't realize you've got to work your tail off. You've got to be the hardest working guy in the room. And the reason that resonates with me right now is because this past summer I had certain reps that just they couldn't cut it. They had all the talent potential in the world, but if you can't buckle down and work hard, nothing's going to happen. So I feel like that's a lot of people are missing the mark because they don't understand, like, sometimes you just got to be gritty. And again, I feel like we overstate that. I feel like sometimes we overstate, like, oh yeah, just work hard. You know how people
Yeah,
just will say that, but it's like, I don't think you really understand how important that is. If I would rather take a guy that will work his tail off but sucks at selling, because I can teach him the skills if he's coachable. But I can't teach a guy that has all the talent in the world but just is lazy and not
yeah,
willing to just buckle down and get gritty, right? So again, I feel like that needs to be, especially with this younger generation, it's felt like a lot of people have gotten a little soft from my perspective. I just
yeah.
really believe that. And so I feel like that word of work ethic needs to be appreciated and taken seriously because it's so undervalued.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting. No, I totally agree, and I think for me, like I remember getting into, well, college football like woke me up to what hard work is. It's
Yeah,
funny
I
how
bet.
you go through these things and you're like, dang, I think you're right. Like your ceiling of what working hard and being gritty is so far below what it actually is that you're like, I'm working hard. And you start to realize, holy crap, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not even close, right? And that's a hard wake up call to have. And I remember, I mean, I've had it a couple times, but no, it's so super true, man. I remember in door to door, like you just realize that there's levels to this, man. There's levels to being gritty and really like being that guy that does what he says he's gonna do, isn't just like all talk, right? I mean, there's so much all talk guys out there where it's like, man, who do you trust, right? You trust the guy that's actually doing it, right? The guy that's actually in there, like going hard with his guys. That's awesome, man. Well, if there are some guys on here that are some savages that want to potentially work with you and have them, you mentor them, what would they need to do, or how should they get a hold of you, man?
Yeah, I mean, you could reach out to me directly. One thing I want to be better at is my social media game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they can always follow me on Instagram. I think my handle is Brandon Relier J. They can get in touch with me that way. That's
Awesome.
something, building my brand is something I'm definitely interested in and know I need to be better at because people follow that. So it's one thing I admire from you, Quinn, is putting yourself out there and making it known what you want for your life, but also for others and how you want to help them. So I appreciate what you're doing too. So it's really cool to see.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I don't know if I was planning on bringing this up, but I'm gonna bring it up. I think we've all been thinking about, because one of the things that really really shifted me just recently was some of the things that happened with Charlie Kirk. Um, I think first of all, like, rest in peace to him, his family, like bless them, but and pray for them. But I don't know if you heard his wife speak the other, or I think it was yesterday, and just talking about how she wants to really like move on his legacy and like continue to be that voice. And man, it just woke me up even more, man. It's like there's no reason to play small. There's no reason to not talk about the things that you want to talk about. And what a great example he was of that. And yeah, man, I'm trying to continue to improve that as well. But
Yeah,
um, just a total, I guess for me, it was a huge shift
yeah.
in just how you look at life.
It definitely shook me up for sure. That whole that
Yeah.
tragedy.
Yeah.
I saw Alex Hormozy quote yesterday too, which goes along with what you're saying. People are going to criticize you when you go big, and they're also going to criticize you when you play small. So you might as well. We have one life, so might as well play big.
Heck yeah,
And
man.
so what you just said, like, why wouldn't we just go all in?
Yeah.
We've got one
Yeah.
life, and it could
Yep.
it could be taken from us today. It really could. We're tomorrow and today, like tomorrow's not promised. And so I believe with what you said too. Like I've had a big shift as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be a huge shift with that. Okay, one other thing, man, I wanted to bring up. So from your story, we kind of got into the sales, and I love that, the fitness and all that stuff. But I want to talk about you being a father, man. So going back, obviously, you said you have a son who's 2.5 years old,
Yeah.
Hayes, right?
Yep.
And then you have another one on the way, yeah. So,
Do any day. Any
oh
day.
my gosh, I didn't. That's amazing. Okay, that's so exciting. Okay, so talk about that, man. Talk about, I guess for me, like I remember to the day, man, when I became a father, so much changed. But one of the things that really changed for me was this weird thing where I was like driven even further to succeed, to make money, to be successful. Like I always tell guys, man, if you want to really be pushed to the to the next level, have a kid, and you'll want to double everything you're doing right now. But what for you, man, like changed the most when you became a dad, and kind of talk about that a little bit and how that's helped you in business, in life, becoming a dad.
You probably resonate with this, but I'm obsessed with my son. That's the only word I can use is I'm obsessed with him. He's everything. I think when I think about I want my children and my son who's here right now, I want him to be proud of me. I want him to, you know, when he's older and he can start to understand, I want him to look up to me and think of me as his best friend and someone who he can turn to his friends and be proud of, just be proud of his father. Someone that leads him by example. And that's, like you said, that has pushed me in the gym to be better. It's because I want to be elite for him. I want him to look at his dad and be like, dang, this guy, he's getting after it every day. Um, and I want to provide him with an amazing life, and teach him that he can do anything in this world. And I believe that, like, if you put your mind to it, he can do anything. So it is definitely my love for my child is just it's hard to explain, and you know it. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Oh
It
man.
really is hard to explain. It's like my heart is outside of my body, and I'm looking at my world. Right? That sounds cheesy, but it's so true. And so it's like I want to give him everything, and I want him to see, again, just someone that he's proud of and is just his best friend. That's like the legacy that I want. That's what I want to be remembered by through his eyes.
Yeah. Oh man, that is so true. It gives me chills, man. Like having a son is, like you said, it's like an obsession, man. It's something you can't explain, and like you said, you want to be better because you want them to look at you and be like, man, like, he lived all out, right? He did what he said he was going to do, and then providing and just yeah, man, it levels you up in every area. It's crazy. It's a crazy shift that
Yes.
happens when you become
Yeah.
a dad. It's unreal. No, that's awesome, man. I'm excited for you to have another one. Okay, so let's get into some tactical stuff. I know we've talked about your story and gone into that, but some of these people that are listening, right? Typically they're guys, that want to level up, that are maybe in college, maybe just finished, and they're, I don't know, looking to get in shape, looking to go somewhere. But let's say that they're feeling stuck. Let's say that they're feeling like they're stagnant. They're not really doing much. Um, what would you tell them, man? Like, what's the one step? What's the one thing that they got to do to kind of get things in the right direction to get them going in the place that they should be going? From your experience, from what helped you, what are some things that you'd give them or point them to?
I think if you can sacrifice and, like we talked about earlier, find a coach and pay for it. Make that small sacrifice for a massive return. Um, because if you feel stuck, you need something's got to change, and sometimes you just need someone to help you get things in motion. And so for me, from a fitness perspective, that's what I did. From a sales perspective, I got in the trenches, and I going back to what we, circling back to what we talked about. I just trained and worked harder and leveled up with someone that had done it before. And so you can't get to where you think you want to go without training or getting coached by someone that has been there. That's impossible, right? If you want to hit a certain amount of sales, you can't get there unless you've been trained this from someone that has done that. If you want to get in good shape and feel stuck, clearly what you're doing isn't working and you
Mm.
need help to get there. So sometimes it's just taking that leap of faith with a mentor, with the coach, and you have to pay to play, right? You got to sacrifice, and then good things will happen when you get things in motion. And that's what I did.
Man, that's great. I love it. Sacrifice, pay to play, get the mentor, do the thing that's going to move you in motion, right? Motion
Right.
creates change. You got to do something different. You can't just wake up and hope that it's going to get better, because it's not. It's not unless you're in motion, right? I love that. Yeah, I think back to how many times I've had to, yeah, sacrifice and pay and feel a little, What's funny about like paying for a coach or a mentor is you find out all of the things that you're not doing that you say you want to do though. So it's like you find out the thing for fitness. For me, I did the same thing. I paid a mentor a lot of money to get me in shape. And I found out all of the things that I said I wanted to do. Like I wanted to be fit. I wanted to have a six pack, and I wasn't doing all of the things that was required. So I think when you find out all the things that are required, you'll find out in sales, it's grinding, it's knocking door, like whatever it is you do, cold calling, whatever. You'll find out the list of things, and then, like you said, you can't be soft. You can't. You got to have grit. You got to be willing to go after it and do the things that they laid out as steps to get to where you want to be. Because I find guys all the time where I tell them what to do, and then it's like they're not willing to do the things that they say they want, though. You know what I mean?
For sure. For
Have you
sure.
seen that with guys and with people that you've worked with, and in that pattern of like you tell them all the things they got to do to get to their goal? Let's say it's like six figures, or make their first, I don't know, whatever it is, and then they're not willing to do like the steps that you told them that they got to do.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we see that all the time. I think it's like you will confidence comes from keeping your standards. Um, it's an inner thing, right? But sometimes we overthink it. We overthink the steps of and we think that we can fast track to success, or fast track to a six pack, or fast track to our goal. But yeah, it's sometimes it's as easy, again, going back to like the work ethic thing. Sometimes it's as easy as just, can you follow the steps that your coach has laid out for you? And sadly, a lot of people just can't even do that. But it's really sometimes that simple. Do these X, Y, and Z, and then you'll get to where you need to be. And wouldn't you say, Quinn, like most people just can't even do that, can't even follow that simple order of operations?
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where like you said, there isn't the quick fix, there isn't some magic pill, there isn't some magic thing that's going to get you to be a millionaire next year if you just grind right now or whatever. It's you got to become that person that can do it, that sticks to it, and is willing to kind of work through that hard thing. And then once you work through it, you got to do it again and again and again. And then, like you said back earlier in the conversation, there's no finish line. So if you can get your mind out of the finish line thing, that'll help you too, in sales and fitness, not having that finish line mentality, because there isn't one, right? Um, what would you say, man? What would you give your 20-year-old self, right? You've got kids now, you're married, you're got your own business, you're crushing, you're doing the things that you want to do, and it's awesome to see, and I love it. But what would you say, man? What would be your advice to your 20-year-old self? What things would you tell yourself so you don't make those same mistakes, or like how would you help someone so they don't make those mistakes that you had to go through? And some of those mistakes, I mean, you just had to go through no matter what, but like what would you say to that?
It's a great question. I think going back to, it's okay that there's gonna be, because I feel like my 20-year-old self, I was pretty, I had started to pick up sales pretty well, and I was getting things rolling in that aspect. But going back to learning to understand that there's not going to be a finish line, understanding that it's a constant grind, um, and I would say being intentional. Something I've thought of recently is being intentional with my time. I don't really believe that there's a balance, a perfect balance of family life, work. I don't feel like there can be a perfect balance. And one thing I would tell my 20-year-old self would be intentional with the season that you're in. So for example, like I have, a wife and a child, another one on the way. So when I'm working, I need to be working, and when I'm the time that I'm home, which is not like it's not an even time when I'm home and work. Those aren't even. It's impossible. We sleep more than we do other things, right? So we sleep most of the day, I feel like. So being intentional with my spouse at home, I think that's huge. Um, because there's never gonna be a perfect balance. So get out of your mind that you're gonna have this perfect balance at home, perfect work life, perfect successful business. Like there's seasons for everything, and learning to ride the waves of those seasons, and again, be okay with as guys. And sorry, I'm kind of my thoughts are a little bit all over the place, but you can probably resonate with this, Quinn. As guys, sometimes we don't express our emotions. We tend to bottle them up and suppress them. And so another thing I would tell myself if I was younger is just learn to talk about things and not suppress your emotions, and learn to be okay with the stresses and the anxieties and the happiness and the discouragement. Learn to be okay with those things, and again, ride the waves of those emotions, and live with them, and know that they're not going to end. Because when I was 20, I just thought, like, kind of going back to what we talked about, like, there's going to be a point when I'm 35 where everything's perfect. And that's just not the case, man. Like, so accepting early on that this life is meant to be, we're pursuing greatness always. And that finish line is, we're never going to reach it. And that's okay. And accepting that, um, and appreciating it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great advice. I think that all of the things you said, I definitely struggle with, and continually battling with the
For
emotions,
sure.
being able to talk. That resonates huge with me. And what you said about being present, I will never forget. I watched the Michael Jordan documentary probably like 7 or 8 times, but the one quote that literally stands out to me every time is the one thing that made Michael Jordan the greatest in the world was being present. And I'm like, man, what an interesting way of looking at it. When he was playing basketball, that's the only thing going on. When he was off the court, it's the only thing that was going on. He wasn't, when he was golfing, he was having fun, right? He was completely present in every situation. And I catch myself always thinking about the next thing, or always chasing and my wife sometimes, she wakes me up, she's like, listen, you got to be present, you got to think about right now too, you
For
can't
sure.
always be thinking about even my son's future. Like, I'm thinking of Brady and the next thing,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, I think that's a big one that I've learned and continue to try to get better at. But for you, with bottling up the emotions, and what kind of things have you learned with that, that have helped you, I guess, get better at that with the emotions and speaking and talking about some of those things? Because I definitely struggle with that.
It's so difficult. It is so challenging, man. Because,
Yeah.
and I think I've learned from guys that want to be high performers. It's just something that guys like us, we just struggle with, because our minds are constantly turning and wanting the next thing and looking forward to the next call and the next this, the next that. Um, and we just, as men, again, the coach that I work with right now, he's just talked about that. Guys typically suppress your emotions, and what happens when you suppress your emotions? It fills up so far. You're building up so many emotions, and all of a sudden, you're going to explode. And those emotions can be over years. It can be over your lifetime. And so it's another thing, Quinn, that I've learned is this process of learning to talk about my emotions is not okay. I learned it and now I'm perfect. That's not the case. I've been working with this guy for over 4 months, and I feels like it feels like I'm worse today than I was when I started. It's just a constant remembrance. I need to, this anxiety that I'm feeling a little bit, I need to just learn to feel it. So be okay with feeling it, because I think sometimes we want to push the feelings away. we're like, hey, I'll deal with this task later because I need to focus on this right now. When in reality, you need to let that emotion go through you. And I didn't realize this for a long time, like until recently. So learning to have that emotion go through us, like feel it, be okay with feeling it and it being there and not getting frustrated at it, like detaching from it, accepting it, and then move forward. And it's the hardest thing. It's so difficult for me. It's so difficult, so challenging. Um,
Yeah, that's
I
good, man.
I but I just feel like if we can do that, like you said, be I love that quote. Be present every aspect of wherever we are, being fully present. I feel like when you do that, you master your feelings a little bit, and
Mm,
you're okay with the
true.
emotion that you're going through, and not being like, okay, this emotion of anxiety, I need to kick it over here because I don't want to deal with it right now. I think it's something that we need to be better at because I think it's okay. There's a reason for it being there. It's trying to teach us something.
Yeah.
And when we suppress it, we're just going to have more anxiety and be
Yeah.
more frustrated.
Man, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's always one that like you said, you deal with it and then you got to deal with the next emotion that comes after that, right? And just learning to battle with that and that ebb and flow. One of the things that also reminded me when you talked about the emotion stuff is, man, I've this one I'm really working on, and it's talking about the hard times. Because man, have I been through some hard times that sometimes I feel like I never like express, even just to friends, to family, but even just to people that follow me, right? Like, man, I've been through the last 2 to 4 years have been a roller coaster for me, man. Like up and down business, all sorts of different things, right? And just expressing that is life isn't just all sunshine and rainbows, right? That there is the ebbs and flows, there is the times where you literally want to quit. I've been through those times where I want to quit. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to work. I don't want to sell. I don't want to do anything, right? And just being okay with, it doesn't make me less than, or I don't know. Sometimes I think all people are going to think that, I don't know. It's just this crazy emotion that you can have, and I love that you said that's something you'd give advice to your 20-year-old self, man, is to deal with those emotions. That's really good.
For sure.
Cool. Well, anything else you want to add there, or are we good with that?
Yeah, I think maybe that's something me and you do better at together is being okay talking about our hardships. Because I agree. I think if we can do that, being authentic and vulnerable, I feel like is just the most powerful thing that you can do.
Totally.
And just being vulnerable and having guys that you can talk to about that. Because again, when we don't talk about it, like we live in this fantasy world it's not reality. We're all struggling with something, and especially on the road, on the path that we're on, we're struggling with numerous things. And so yeah, maybe that's something that I can be better at as well. Just having conversations and being vulnerable and authentic with where I'm at. I love
Yeah.
that. Super, super important.
So good. Yeah, we all go through, we all go through hard things, 100%. And sharing that is huge. Also sharing the success, but sharing the hard things too. So one question I like to end the podcast with, man, is just kind of getting into, and dude, I'll have you back on several times, man, because you've got some good stuff to talk about, and we'll continue doing these. But what would you? Because I feel like every year I change my definition of success and what it means to me. But I want to hear just from you authentically, like, what is your mind right now in this stage of your life? If I asked you to define what success is to you in your own words, what is it?
I believe that it's showing up behind the scenes, doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do, keeping your standards. When you do that, I think you can accomplish anything. Which success to other to people is different in their workspace and their health. But if I can constantly do what I say I'm gonna do, then I can lay my head down at the end of the night and be proud of my day and who I am. When we don't do what we say we're going to do, that's when we start to not feel successful. So at this point, if I can just keep my standards and do what I say I'm going to do, I can feel like I'm successful at this point in my life.
That's awesome. I love it. Keep the standards, keep your word, and every day you'll feel like you're successful, and that's all that matters, man. Just that daily win. That's awesome. Well, Brandon, I appreciate you coming on the show. I will make sure that people can find you on Instagram if they're, honestly, if they're looking for some opportunities in door to door. Definitely recommend reaching out to Brandon. Only if you're a killer. Only if you're going to put in the work. Only if you're a guy that's actually going to want to grow. I'm not saying you got to be an expert, but that wants to grow, wants to change, wants to be better. Other than that, man, I appreciate you coming on again. It was great having you. One of my best friends from Georgia, from childhood, man, and so many good things that I take from this podcast, and I'm excited to have you back on here soon. But yeah, I appreciate it, and I'll wrap this up now and have the place where you can follow Brandon in the show notes. So, all right, till next time, guys. I appreciate it.
See you, brother.